From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Evening Edition.
Now at 6, the search for an elderly hiker in San Mateo County is growing more desperate.
I'm very worried because if she could get to us, she would.
The expansion of the search effort after more than 52 hours on the ground and in the air led to nothing.
And now it's getting real. The Real ID deadline is Wednesday.
I'm going to my granddaughter's graduation at the end of the month.
Well, then you'd better have a real ID if you don't have a passport.
Also, survivors of breast cancer are commemorating friends who lost the battle to the disease.
Getting diagnosed with cancer at a young age is devastating, and then to lose your friends at such a young age just compounds that grief.
A look at the new memorial at Golden Gate Park and the group that made it all happen.
Live from the CBS studios in San Francisco, I'm Brian Hackney.
And I'm Andrea Nakano. The search continues tonight for a woman who went missing on Thursday during a hike at the Windy Hill Open Space Preserve.
Those who were with her say that they lost track of the 79-year-old on the coincidentally named Lost Trail. Today, more than 150 trained rescue personnel fanned out to look for her. And John Ramos has the story.
They say no news is good news, but not in this case. It's been 3 days since the elderly hiker went missing, but officials say they're staying optimistic about their chances of finding her. Margaret McKinley, known to her friends as Elaine, joined a small group for a hike on Thursday morning in the San Mateo County open space known as the Windy Hill Preserve.
They started at around 10 in the morning, and Elaine, during their hike, got ahead of them. And so those who were hiking with Elaine, her loved ones, lost sight of her. And by the time they caught up to the area where they thought she would be, she was not there.
Her friends immediately reported her missing, and a search operation began quickly, but without success. By Friday, the search had grown, including volunteers on the ground, as well as drones and aircraft overhead, one employing heat-sensing technology. Elaine is 79 years old, and though she is strong and active, she's also said to have some dementia brought on by Alzheimer's disease. It's possible she became confused and began wandering, so officials are asking people who live on the boundaries of the open space to review any surveillance or doorbell camera footage they may have going back to 10 a.m. Thursday morning.
If they spot Elaine on their cameras, or if they don't, both the information of sightings or lack thereof is very helpful as we continue this search because it can guide us to retrace Elaine's steps.
On Saturday morning, Martha Angel and Catherine Flanagan were hiking in the hills and spotted a number of the more than 150 volunteers involved in the search effort.
There were a lot of people in yellow vests with dogs searching and going through the brush and on and off the trail. So it seems like an enormous effort is being put into this. I typically go up the hill, up Windy Hill, to the top and back down. And if you do that, it's pretty much a straight shot all the way to the top and then back. But there are trails that go off from that, especially once you get to the top. There's a network that goes on the other side of the hill.
Elaine went missing on a route called Lost Trail near Skyline Boulevard, and the sheriff's office has now expanded the search to the area west of that road. And while each passing hour makes survival less likely, no one is giving up hope yet.
In San Mateo County, our search and rescue volunteers have been involved in successful search and rescue operations in other counties with individuals who've been missing for days even. And so as we hit the 48-hour mark that Elaine has been missing, we remain very hopeful and focused on locating her.
Elaine was said to be wearing black pants and a red jacket. Anyone with a sighting or information is urged to call 911.
Yeah, listen to that. Windy day in Pacifica. The National Weather Service issued a wind advisory through the weekend. High winds are expected along the coast and North Bay Mountains, and with the latest on this and how it's affecting the search and rescue efforts.
Yeah, it hasn't made things easy with 30-mile-an-hour gusts up near Skyline Boulevard. So that's tough to do aerial searches. But this is an even bigger story if you just go a little bit farther west. We've got a wind warning off the coast that we do not normally see the National Weather Service issue. Get that wide view looking all the way down, past the city, down the peninsula. Look what color the wind streams are out here. They're red. Deep shades of red show you there are 50-mile-an-hour gusts racing down the coast at this point. You are probably familiar with things like gale force winds, and that's what we've got down here in the light purple. In the deep purple where I am, come back here right off of the peninsula in the city. These are storm force winds, and this is a storm force wind warning. The National Weather Service very rarely has to put out this kind of a warning off our coast. This is where the 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts are. Now, thankfully, the worst of it is out here. Let's kind of bring this back down to scale. Let's look at our situation at home, because we do have a wind advisory for a good part of the coastline. It's just that it is a much weaker situation in terms of the wind advisory. Let's change the color on here. That's your 25 to 30-mile-an-hour gust, and that's what we have along the coast. And it'll stay that way through tonight into tomorrow morning, and then it'll be allowed to expire at 9 a.m. This is different. That is an entirely separate wind advisory, believe it or not, for Monday, when offshore winds are going to hit the bay. That's a total reversal. Wait till you see how different the temperatures are going to be on Monday when we get there. But in the meantime, Sunday's so much better. Much less wind, temperatures in the mid-70s inland. Much better day in terms of the 2 days of the weekend. I'll see you with the full forecast in a few minutes, guys. Back to you.
Alrighty, Darren. Several Bay Area DMV locations stayed open today as the deadline to switch to a Real ID is coming up real soon.
Starting Wednesday, you will need a Real ID to board a domestic flight if you don't have a passport. Don Lynn was in Oakland today talking to those trying to make the switch before takeoff.
Saturday's experience was quite different than a weekday. Easy peasy for those who came in to apply for a Real ID. And the people who got it done said it was in and out. No long lines, no wait times, and no drama.
Showed up today at 12:10, walked straight in, and 20 minutes, walked out.
Kelly Kuyate made her appointment less than 24 hours ago, Friday afternoon. Once inside, the process so fast, it defied the typical DMV experience.
Usually when I come in DMV, I'm sitting in one of these blue chairs for about an hour or so. I have yet to sit, so that was shocking.
To help people with upcoming trips, the DMV extended weekday hours and opened 3 Bay Area locations this Saturday, and will do it again next week.
I'm going to my granddaughter's graduation at the end of the month, so I need the Real ID.
Saturday service is appointment only and exclusively for Real ID applications. No vehicle registration or other services. That might explain why it was so empty.
It was ready before I was ready. Because as soon as I walked in and gave them my ID to say, for the appointment, they was already calling me.
But Beverly Williams forgot to bring all the required documents, so she'll have to come back. She needs a Real ID before the graduation trip down in San Diego. Starting on Wednesday, you'll need a Real ID or valid passport to fly domestically. The latest DMV data shows more than 19 million Californians have received their Real IDs. That's about 55% of all issued cards. But more than 15 million Californians still don't have one.
Especially like in the younger generation, a lot of people aren't aware of the Real ID, and definitely not like the deadline either.
No worries for Kelly. She's all set for a possible trip to Chicago next month.
Sounds good. Appreciate it. Oh, that was fast. I'm happy. Now I can go enjoy my day.
The 3 Bay Area locations opening again next Saturday are this Claremont DMV in Oakland, the Concord DMV on Diamond Boulevard, and the West Alma Avenue DMV in San Jose. You'll need to make an appointment online.
A new space for healing and remembrance has blossomed in Golden Gate Park. Community members gathered for the grand opening of the Breast Cancer Memorial Garden. It includes a memorial plaque honoring more than 100 Bay Area residents who have passed away from breast cancer. Members of the Bay Area Young Survivors, the group behind the memorial, shared what inspired the garden.
When our friends started dying, we were finding a lot of solace in healing and putting our hands in the dirt, spending time in parks, gardening together. One particular member, Melissa Weiss, was an avid gardener, and when she died, the idea for this memorial was born.
It's the first memorial in Golden Gate Park in more than 30 years.
And coming up, when culture becomes craft, meet the brewer honoring his heritage through hops.
Well, welcome back. It is Asian American Pacific Islander Month this month.
And today we are highlighting a local brewery that's very crafty with Korean flavors. Our Kenny Choi explains.
Youngwon Lee is picking up a new skill to promote Dokkae beer, creating social media content showing what life is like as a small business owner. The son of Korean immigrants is building a different kind of craft beer, inspired by his heritage.
Early stage, I was having same question, like Dokkae beer, is that a craft beer brand? Is that an Asian American brand? But I came to a realization, it's actually like me.
His brand continues to evolve.
It will stay in the tank for about 2 to 3 weeks.
2 years ago, we visited Dokkae Beer's first brewery and tap room when it opened in Oakland. But nationwide, the small craft beer industry is experiencing a decline.
I'm creating a product that's just like me and trying to fight through and having this American dream and showcase it.
Fighting through the challenges of downtown vacancies, shifts in alcohol consumption, and market saturation is not an easy one. He had to close the tap room late last year.
It's going to be a difficult time, but when you have a goal where you want to get to, that really gives me more energy and more like driving force to get there.
In 2024, craft beer production across the country fell by 4% to 23.1 million barrels, the steepest drop in the industry's history outside of the pandemic, marking the third consecutive year of negative growth.
It's declining, 2%, 3%, 5% year over year. It's a very slow decline. It's not growing like it used to.
Tyler Yarborough is a craft beer distributor. He monitors trends and sales for his company San Francisco Naturals. Despite the industry's downturn, he believes a small craft beer company that can distinguish itself from the rest will thrive.
At the same time, there's a lot of niche room for small craft beer distributors and small craft beers to do a better job working with their customers, the bars, the restaurants, the stores.
That's one of the reasons why Lee entered a UPS social media competition, showing what life is like for small businesses. It's a chance to promote his brand.
This is a big opportunity where we get to expose ourselves to a lot of audiences that we've never met with.
He's hoping that could lead to more distribution among stores and restaurants, willing to feature something different, Asian and Korean flavored inspired craft beers.
You're proud to represent who you are and your identity, and that's a special moment.
That blend of flavors and heritage from cultures far and near is how Lee sees Dokkae beer.
All right, headline in this forecast is obviously the wind, if you've been outside at all today. We're going to talk a lot about that in 1 second, but first let's not ignore what is kind of an 800-pound gorilla in the room. There's a lot of lightning back there over my shoulder. That's over the last 3 hours. You'd look at that and you would understandably think, are we going to get rain from this? The answer is no. That system, which is providing that rain, is for the most part going to be staying off to our east, and we're kind of in this little donut hole of nothingness, kind of in the middle, where rain is not really going to be a factor for us from that system. When you look out the window, there's pretty clear-looking skies, in fact. So let's get that view off the coast. These are the wind streams today. Deep shades of red show you where you've got winds that are going at about 50 miles an hour. And as a result of that, there is our storm force wind warning from the National Weather Service. That's going to go until very early tomorrow morning, this deep purple shade out here. The lighter stuff are the gale force winds. We get that all the time, and most of us ignore it because we're not out in a boat. Most of us can really ignore this too, except it's very interesting. We don't often see that, and this is what the National Weather Service has issued for the 50-mile-an-hour gusts. Those are the storm force winds. What matters more for the rest of us? The advisory. So right now, we've got a wind advisory for pretty much the entire coastline. Let's bring that back down to scale. So from up around well north of Point Reyes and down all the way down the peninsula, this is where you still have your 30-mile-an-hour gusts. And it's going to be windy enough from now till about 9 in the morning, although we've kind of seen the strongest of it. It's going to get a little weaker from here, but you still have that advisory until tomorrow. This one's totally different. This is the wind advisory for Sunday night into Monday morning for, believe it or not, offshore winds coming back our way. Let's go back out to the statewide view, and I'm going to show you how that's going to happen. Very unique scenario for us. We'll go back now to visualizing the wind streams off the coast, but you're going to watch the futurecast from today into Monday. So we'll start out here, and you'll see it's pretty windy. Watch the time ticking by, but come over here. As we transition into Monday, watch the winds reverse. Can you see it? It's kind of subtle, but it's crucially important. Those are now offshore winds. Those are now going to start rushing over the North Bay Mountains by the time we get to Monday. And when you get northerly winds coming in here, it'll get windy in the mountains, which is why we have that advisory. But we won't notice a whole lot of that if you live below 1,000 feet, which is most of us. What you're going to notice on Monday instead is quite a warm-up coming our way. So let's go in order. First things first, let's not overlook Sunday. Way less wind tomorrow, and temperatures on Sunday, you'll see daytime highs that are already starting to climb to near 80 for some of our warmer inland microclimates. But that's it's better than today, but it's not really the headline-grabbing warm-up that I want you to see. That shows up when we transition to Monday. Now there's a lot more orange on here. And now when you look at where we're going to be for daytime highs on Monday, remember those offshore winds? Now we're getting well into the 80s for many of our warmer inland locations. Look at San Francisco, 77-degree day by the time we get all the way to Monday. Let's put in a 7-day forecast and see how this is going to play out for us. We'll start out by looking at our inland microclimate, and there's that notable warm up there for Monday. And then look at the temperatures not staying quite that warm, coming down a bit, but still for the most part staying pretty warm over the course of the next 7 days after that. And when we take a look at the forecast for our microclimate for the Bay, that'd be the coast, but the story's going to be pretty much the same. Temperatures will be noticeably warm on Monday, and then cool down a bit from there.
Well, it is time to get out your violet and black. The Golden State Valkyries are just a few days away from their first preseason game. The players had a little more energy than their head coach for today's practice. Vern Glenn tells us why.
I'm not going to lie, the media day really kicked my butt.
Oh, come on, coach. Media day wasn't that bad.
I can look this way? Yeah, right. Okay, we're counting down to tip-off to KPIX.
Nikasi has been working around the clock to get her team ready. I choked. She's probably jotting down plays in the middle of the night.
That's exactly what I've been doing. No sleep. Ask my coaching staff, instead of I write it down, I text them. So They get texts 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
Nobody will outwork the Valkyries this season. What's your approach, coach?
I mean, I ain't gonna tell you our secrets now.
Now, Nikasi can put those promo reads behind her.
I'm Natalie Nakase, head coach of the Golden State Valkyries.
And make it all about basketball.
Let's go! Let's go! Okay.
Still ahead, the impact of tariffs on several small businesses. A deep dive when we come back.
From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Evening Edition.
Tonight, we're taking a closer look at tariffs and the impact that they're having on small business across the Bay Area. We'll tour a secondhand startup, giving new meaning to the term thrifty. But we'll begin with two toy shop owners saying the tariffs need a timeout. Here's Max Darrow.
His shelves may be stocked with different toys and games for kids, but the majority of what John Kivranian sells have one thing in common.
97% of the toys that we sell in our store are made in China.
He says that's been a constant for decades, about as long as he's run his shop, Nuts for Candy and Toys, in Burlingame.
America the Beautiful, made in China.
But since the start of the year, he's dealt with a new constant, uncertainty.
It's unpredictable what's going on with these tariffs. How do I do business without knowing what's going to happen tomorrow?
And that uncertainty traces upwards. Kivranian says he routinely gets emails from his suppliers saying they're raising their prices, can't fulfill orders, or aren't even ordering new products anymore, citing the Trump administration's 145% tariff on Chinese imports.
I'm not going to order like I used to because I'm not willing to pay the high prices. My concern is that I will get stuck with the inventory and the consumer will not buy it. And I will tie up my cash flow, and that will hurt me.
John Hansen is one of those suppliers.
Having empty shelves is not a regular thing around here.
He's a puzzle, game, and toy manufacturer and distributor.
Over here, we had some chess sets.
He sells to around 1,500 retailers from his Petaluma headquarters.
Anywhere from your mom and pop toy store on the corner up to some major accounts as well.
He says around 75% of their sales are products that come from China.
We have a lot of inventory at various stages of either being ready or being made in China that at this point is just sitting there.
Why is it just sitting there?
Well, because to ship it at this point, it would be to pay the tariff at 145%. It would no longer make sense to sell for the next couple months. What's here is what we can sell.
Hansen says on an average year,
we're bringing in 40 to 45 containers. So far this year, we've brought in 2.
From his vantage point, this state of flux is throwing the future out of balance. And that includes looking towards the holiday season.
The uncertainty is the biggest thing. We can't go out and quote our customers, especially the larger guys. We can't plan for fourth quarter yet, which we would normally be doing right now. My concern is also for a lot of my customers that are small shops that rely on turning over product regularly.
Kivranian buys Hansen's puzzles, which don't come from China.
This product is from Spain.
However,
this product used to have a 3% tariff. Today, it's at 20%.
As of now, Kivranian says he has not raised his prices.
We are going to wait and see what happens because we have still 4 to 5 months worth of inventory.
In this time of uncertainty, Kivranian is certain the status quo is unsustainable.
And I believe if this tariff continues on, within the next 4 to 6 months, you will see empty shelves all over the country.
He hopes for a resolution soon before small businesses start to call it quits.
And with tariffs threatening the fast fashion industry, secondhand stores are suddenly having a resurgence. Suji Nam shows us one Bay Area startup that's getting rave reviews.
Festival season is Jack Miller's favorite time of the year. Of course, music is part of the fun, but for Miller, it's all about the fashion.
Shiny holographic material. We see a lot of like sparkles, sequins doing really well. We have our harness for our gays out there.
You're taking a look at some of Miller's collection that he is selling on his online platform, Revival, a secondhand festival clothing marketplace.
I was really bothered by this waste inequality that we were seeing in around our globe.
Miller has a master's degree in environmental science and wanted to find an innovative way for music festival aficionados to come together and buy and sell secondhand clothing.
About the item details, including the category.
That's when he launched Revival in 2023.
Specifically in the festival space, we're seeing about 27 million brand new music festival outfits being purchased every single festival season.
And in the midst of festival season, he knows many people are scrambling to buy online right now. But with the fear of tariffs, mainly imports from Asia, Miller says he is one step ahead of the game.
We are at a little bit of a competitive advantage when comparing ourselves to like fast fashion brands who are shipping a lot of their clothing from overseas.
I feel like I was just dancing.
Ivy Vasquez has become a returning customer for secondhand festival outfits.
You don't have to pay this extra amount. We can limit the amount of waste that is happening. And who says that you can't love a really cute piece that's been thrifted, you know?
Miller says his vision is to cultivate a community space.
Trying to make a community where everybody and everybody feels supported and feels like they can find an outfit that fits their body type.
Spreading that sparkle, one rave fit at a time.
Coming up, the Valkyries reveal their promotional schedule ahead of the team's first ever preseason game this Tuesday. What fans can expect at home games this year. That's coming up next. All right, we are just days away from the debut of the Golden State Valkyries, set to tip off the preseason on Pix Plus against the Los Angeles Sparks. The WNBA's newest franchise made history this year, becoming the first team to sell 10,000 season tickets and just announced their promotional schedule for the home games. With us now is the Valkyries Senior Vice President of Marketing, Kimberly Veal. Kimberly, you have been with the Warriors for such a long time that we know each other very well here. But the season opener is on May 16th against the Los Angeles Sparks. Not only will fans get to experience the excitement of the Valkyries tipping off a new era of WNBA basketball in the Bay Area, there will also be another treat for fans as well. Can you kind of share with us what might be in the mix for opening night?
We are so excited to welcome our over 10,000 season ticket holders to Chase Center on May 16th. Of course, we have our preseason game this coming Tuesday, May 6th at 7 o'clock as well. Fans can really expect an electric environment. We have a team that is amped and ready to go. So excited to meet our fans. We have a game experience team that is putting the finishing touches on everything that fans can expect in the building. So I don't want to ruin all the surprises, but we have 23 regular season home games here throughout the course of the summer that are going to be a lot of fun for Bay Area fans.
Yeah, I was looking through the promotional calendar, and it said on June 19th, which is a day that Caitlin Clark is coming to town, the Valkyries will be honoring Juneteenth. And also on June 27th against the Chicago Sky, there will be a Pride celebration for Pride Month. So as you go down the promotional schedule, it's not just about giveaways. Can you tell me about these events that help build bridges with the Bay Area community?
Absolutely. Obviously our team is practicing in Oakland at the Sephora Performance Center. We have games in Chase Center. So one of our main goals is to be inclusive for all of our fans. So like you said, June, we have 8 home games. We'll be celebrating Juneteenth on June 19th. We are celebrating Pride all month long and really all year round, but all month long, culminating with a Pride game on Friday night, heading into San Francisco Pride weekend. We're going to be celebrating back to school in August. We've got a night for our sneakerheads in August. We've got breast health awareness in September. So there really is an inclusive intention around how we're celebrating our athletes and our fans alike in terms of causes that really our fans have identified that matter to them and that they want to celebrate in arena.
Now the Valkyries on the court have 7 rookies on their training camp roster and a first-time head coach. And a lot of this season will be about learning game by game and creating that chemistry. Now, Kimberly, I know you work with the Warriors, so there must be some sort of formula behind all of this. But what do you do as a department to build chemistry within your department?
Yeah, well, this is a lot of fun for all of us. We're doing a lot of this for the first time. Obviously, President Jess Smith and our general manager, Haman Yenin. We are all in this for the first time. Our fans are, our founding guard, year 1 season ticket holders. So we're going to learn a lot. But we are all just so fortunate and grateful to be in these roles, ushering in the new era of WNBA basketball here in the Bay Area.
So all of this is so new and exciting, but is there a theme-wise, is there a game that you're looking forward to the most?
May 16th is going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, tell me about May 16th, opening night.
Opening night, yep. Yeah. So obviously first ever game this Tuesday, like I said, but home opener May 16th, it is going to be one for the books.
Yeah. All right, well, Kimberly, thank you for all you do. Thank you for all your help when you were with the Warriors, and look forward to working with you this season.
Likewise, good to see you.
And be sure to tune in this Tuesday for the preseason game, the Valkyries' first preseason game ever on Pix Plus, and tip-off is at 7 o'clock.
All righty, Andrea, coming up, lowriders take over San Francisco ahead of Cinco de Mayo, the celebrations around the Bay today. Next.
And coming up in this forecast, it is quite windy out there along the coast right now. That's one item of about 3. It's a lot of lightning up there right now, and temperatures are going to be in the mid-80s in like 2 days. How is this all going to play out? We'll look at it in the forecast coming up.
Cinco de Mayo is just around the corner, and in the Mission, the San Francisco Lowrider Council teamed up with John O'Connell High School to celebrate with a lowrider car show and block party.
And do you know what happened?
No, what? Tell me about it.
Families came out to celebrate the holiday along with their kids. We asked them that probing question. Having fun?
Fun. Yeah, it's fun, but my mostly fun time is when they're like setting up stuff and like the cars.
Well, that was a good analysis. Lowriders cruised down Mission Street, followed by a pop-up block party. Donations from the event went to support, as Andrea said, O'Connell High School's after-school program and extracurricular activities. And speaking of Andrea,
Well, I'm sure those two could sell anything. Preparations are already underway in San Jose. But for many in the Latino community, this is also a time of anxiety and uncertainty. Our Kevin Coe heard from one vendor who is worried that fears of ICE and the economy may keep people home this weekend.
Vendors are already securing these valuable spaces for what should be a very busy weekend on Story Road. And after speaking with some of them today, this could not come any sooner.
25, mijo, eh? Next year, $50. Well, this economy is going up.
Sylvia Morquecho has been a vendor on Story Road for 25 years. She recently had foot surgery.
They almost cut my toes.
But business has been slow for months. So she's here.
A lot of people, they don't want to come on the streets for all that going on, immigration, and it's going to, basically, a lot of people, they're afraid to spend money.
Sylvia is one of many East San Jose workers who have felt the crunch of a tough economy and ongoing concerns about ICE activity. There have been no known reports of ICE since an isolated operation at the Target on Story Road back in January. But the incident has caused some unease in the immigrant community, impacting foot traffic for business owners. San Jose Councilmember Peter Ortiz represents the East Side.
We've continued to hear fear from the public about the impact of ICE presence on the community. The reality is that we haven't seen them since a few months back when they were present on the East Side. And so we have a lot of anxiety, we have a lot of fear, but ICE has not been out.
East San Jose's Cinco de Mayo festival is providing a chance for the community to unite around something positive. Road signs are going up on King Road. And in downtown, Luis Ochoa has been in charge of the Cinco de Mayo festival at Cesar Chavez Plaza for the past 2 years. He hopes Sunday's event will bring people together through tough times.
Celebrate, to know that we're alive, to know that things are good, and there's reason to be happy instead of, I guess, thinking that, things might happen.
Back in the East Side, Sylvia is thinking optimistically, hoping for a big weekend ahead.
At this time, I would have had a lot of people already spending money because today's Friday. But hopefully I'm praying to, they get here after work.
The ICE operation Councilmember Ortiz was talking about, it actually happened here on Story Road at the Target right behind me. It is just across the street. However, again, there have been no known ICE operations since. Still, Ortiz tells me that the Rapid Response Network will have workers out here patrolling, monitoring for ICE activity.
Well, no doubt you noticed the wind today, just like Kevin did from his report behind him there going through the flags. It is particularly windy right now off the coast. That's where we have some real issues. I'll show you what I mean by that in 1 second. Look what's going on. That is live radar. And we've got to look at that just because anytime you've got lightning and thunder across the state like that, you got to pay attention to it. But we're not going to get any of that. That's all going to stay either in the Sierra or harmlessly rotate around us. It's the area of low pressure responsible for that that's doing this to the wind field over the bay. This is the real issue. These streamlines are in red on here. That means you've got winds going at about 50 miles an hour off the coast. And as a result of that, National Weather Service has issued something they do not often issue here. This area right off the coast in deep purple, that's where you've got storm force winds. There's a storm force wind warning out here, gusting to 50 miles an hour. It's a very dangerous day for any ships outside the Golden Gate right now. The lighter stuff on there, you're kind of used to. We get gale force warnings all the time. You're 30-mile-an-hour winds. This is different. This is a particularly strong situation, but of course, it's out here. What's going on in the bay in terms of the impact this is having on us? Let's come in for a closer look now, and I'm going to change our vantage point. Let's look a little bit more closely at the bay. That is a wind advisory. That kind of your typical garden variety wind advisory for today, which will expire tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So you've got 30-mile-an-hour gusts out there. That comes to an end tomorrow. Sunday's great. I'm going to show you Sunday's numbers in a second, but before we leave behind the wind advisory story. This is an entirely different wind advisory for Monday. Very odd, actually, because on Monday, we're going to have strong winds in the mountains from offshore winds. Totally opposite direction from what's happening today, and that's really going to warm things up for us on Monday. Let me go back to that vantage point, and I'll show you how this is going to play out for us. We'll bring back the wide view so we can once again visualize that wind field. But where we want to draw our attention is up here. We're going to play this forward and watch how the winds change from the onshore winds today. And as we advance this into Monday, do you see what just happened here? Monday morning, those are offshore winds. And when that happens, they really start rushing through the North Bay Mountains, get a bit of a downslope effect. And that can really increase the temperatures for us. So let's take a look at where we're going to be. First off, here's Sunday. Orange on here shows you a lot of upper 70s, maybe even some low 80s. Those are your daytime highs for Sunday. It's going to be a much nicer day tomorrow than today. Way less wind, and we're about 5 to 7 degrees warmer. Without a wind chill, it's going to feel so much better. Sunday kind of makes up for today. But the warm-up's going to keep going from there. So if we now visualize the color field looking ahead to Monday, and we'll move Sunday's numbers, and now we put on the Monday numbers. Now we're well into the 80s for many of those inland valleys. That's what the offshore winds will do. I don't think these are the kind of winds we necessarily feel a whole lot down at the lower elevations where we all live. Any place below 1,000 feet, it should not be terribly windy, but we're still going to feel the influence of those offshore winds in the form of the warm-up. So there's your 7-day forecast. That says our inland microclimate on there. Look at Monday. What a jump. We're not staying that warm all week. Temperatures will come back down and then go back up a bit as we go through the remainder of the week after that. And just to show you what this looks like for our microclimate for the Bay, that is the forecast here. You can see numbers will get up to around 80 by the time we get to Monday and then cooling back down really to average for much of the week after that. All right, guys, back to you.
All righty, thank you, Darren. It's coming up next, a superhero story straight out of a comic book. How two vigilantes really recovered thousands of dollars of merchandise and caught the bad guy. It's coming up. Welcome back. Today is National Comic Book Day. It's a tradition that began right here in the Bay Area. All day today, stores around the country are giving away comics for free to spread and promote comic book culture.
Crush Comics in Castro Valley is one such store taking part, and they plan to put any money they earn today toward helping children with serious medical conditions.
Doing good is half the ethos for any superhero, something the two owners of Crush Comics turned out to be, minus the spandex.
Our Katie Nielsen has more on how they caught a serial comic book burglar this year and became the Avengers.
A brazen thief who doesn't try very hard to cover his tracks, and a ragtag group of detectives who are hot on his trail. It sounds like it could be the plot to a new comic book series, but actually, this is the true story of the Castro Valley Avengers. Crush Comics store manager Cole Sanders and owner Josh Hunter never thought they'd find themselves as real-life comic book vigilantes.
It's wild. It's so funny.
They're on the cutting edge of crime.
Is this like a, yeah.
Yeah.
We got some clues.
But that's exactly what happened after the shop was burglarized in the early morning hours of March 22nd.
When I got down here, I was like, okay, it's not as bad as it could be. I'm going to try to be really positive about this.
The burglar cleared the wall where the most valuable comic books were displayed. Josh thought they were gone for good until one of his employees spotted a very specific comic book for sale on eBay less than 12 hours after the burglary.
This is the one that really, solved the case. The absolutely unique one-of-one sketch cover from our artist friend Dan. When I saw that on eBay, I was like, I'm just going to buy that and see what happens. And we got the guy's name and address and everything, and there it was.
From there, Josh went to an Instagram page for someone with the same name and found this, a Lego Bandit figurine offering to buy, sell, or trade Lego sets in the East Bay, plus a photo which looked very similar to the mystery man in the hoodie on the shop's surveillance video. Honorary detectives didn't stop there and contacted a competing shop in San Leandro that had also been broken into recently.
I called him and I was like, hey, we found this eBay page. Looks almost certainly like they stole some of our stuff. You should check too. And they got back to us and they were like, yeah, there's like 10 of our books on there right now. And I was like, wow, okay.
When they saw Lego items on the eBay page, they reached out to a toy shop in San Ramon that had recently lost a number of valuable sets to a shoplifter.
I smell trouble. She's like, do you think this is him? And she sent me a picture of the guy that they had, and he wasn't mass in this one. And based on the Google searches and stuff that we did, we're like, okay, this is probably the guy.
They turned the information over to police, and just a couple days later, another toy shop was hit.
And my wife and I are looking at each other, and same thing. They broke the window, they got in, they stole a bunch of stuff and left. Do you think this could be the same guy? So I go to message them on Instagram. We had already had a message from them saying that, hey, we think it's the same guy.
The very next day, the Alameda County Sheriff's Department served a search warrant at the home of 29-year-old Narula Amiri of Livermore, where they say they found tens of thousands of dollars of comic books, collectibles, and Lego sets, the majority of which were returned to their respective stores.
Everybody's really appreciative. Everybody's really cool. We have now like a little text group chain of shop owners talking about it.
Reflecting on the entire experience, you know the Castro Valley Avengers could only do one thing, quote, another comic book superhero.
What did Peacemaker say? Who knows why crazy men do the things that they do? Yeah.
Josh and Cole say they're now actually thinking about publishing their own comic book series based on the break-in and subsequent detective work. But they said they'd have to change it up a little bit and make the villain a little harder to catch.
And finally tonight, dragon dancers from 7 different San Francisco high schools competed in this year's Lion and Dragon Dance competition. The founder talked about its cultural significance.
We have Lion and Dragon Dance. It's considered a powerful symbol of protection, good luck, prosperity. So all those things intertwined together really make the community feel safe, give them a sense of security.
He tells us the tradition dates back to dynastic history. More than 150 students took part in the event today.
Cool.
Looks like fun. Yeah. Good day for it, too, except for the wind.
Yeah.
That will
It's a
change.
little windy, but
Yeah.
80s degrees?
80s on Monday. Tomorrow's actually much nicer, by the way. Way less wind tomorrow, like 7 degrees warmer, and then Monday, much warmer.
Thanks for watching. See you back here at 6. CBS Weekend News is next.